good afternoon. We would like to present to you OBADA and explain to you a little bit what it is. So it stands for the Open Blockchain for Asset Disposition Architecture. That's a bit of a mouthful. In essence, it is a way to track assets, and we like to call it the decentralized Carfax for IT. So we are going to explain to you how we built it and how it works, and then show you how to get involved as we go forward in the presentation. No, thank you. So first off, we are going to do some brief introductions. I have some members with me. We are going to take each a section. First, the overview and the history by Rohi. Then Joe will explain to us some of those business applications. And then Ron will explain how it actually does work behind the scenes. And I will take you back at the very end to explain how to get involved. So, next slide, thank you. Rohi, do you want to present yourself quickly?
Sure. So my name is Rohi Sukhia. I am the founder of this OBADA effort back in 2017, but it quickly has grown way beyond me to a fairly large number of people, including the fine ones here. I am also the founder of Trade Corporation, which is a trading network in the ITAD, IT Asset Disposition space, as well as we're working on a number of different things related to blockchain and right to repair.
Thank you. Joe?
Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Marion. I'm the president of the ASCDI. ASCDI is an international association of information technology asset disposition companies, ITADs, companies that take technology products, they refurbish them, they resell them, they wipe the data out of them, and they make sure that they don't end up in landfills. I also am the founder of a trading platform called NCI, Network Commerce International, and I'm a former IT reseller myself.
I'm Ron Lemke. I am a supply chain professor at the University of Nevada, and I have been involved in reverse logistics issues for more than 25 years, including chairing the standards committee for the Reverse Logistics Association and the co-creator of the 12N QR codes.
All right, thank you. And I am G. Within the OBADA, I currently chair the marketing committee, and day to day, I'm very active in the reverse logistics and consumer electronics world. And today, I will be your moderator. So thank you. Next up, Rohi, do you want to give us a history of OBADA, please?
Yes, that would be great. So first of all, people seem to get confused as soon as we start talking about blockchain with questions like, what is blockchain and how does it work? And what is a DAO, a decentralized organization, and all of the questions that go around it. And it's really not that hard. So I'm going to just try in 1 minute or so to simplify things. What we're doing can be explained in a much simpler way. So essentially, what we've created for, as G mentioned, this Carfax for any asset. These Carfaxes have to get stored somewhere. And if you want to think about it as a big spreadsheet that we share, we're building a big spreadsheet that's hosted in the cloud that we can all share. And the technical name for that is a decentralized registry. So it's a database or a spreadsheet. And who runs this spreadsheet? Nobody does. It's decentralized. So it's hosted by an industry coalition where every person, every company in the coalition runs a copy, but there's no central server. They all replicate with each other. And that organization, this coalition, is what we call the DAO. It's a decentralized autonomous organization, not a company. And essentially, it's just an agreement. We all run the same software that powers the spreadsheet. And the last part of OBADA, the third leg here of this triangle, is the OBADA standard. So to use this spreadsheet, to share a spreadsheet, you have to agree on the column order and things like that so that the data can be formatted and transferred properly. So essentially, the standard is the agreement on how the data gets formatted in the spreadsheet, the columns, It's run by this organization called a DAO, not any company, just an agreement. And the product is a registry, a decentralized registry. It's a big spreadsheet. And the last piece on this is this agreement is not for the standard. It's not just us. We've been working for a few years with ISO, the International Standards Organization, to make this a global standard, not just related to our industry for electronics, but for all physical assets that can be serialized. So we're actively working with those guys. And so the second kind of simplified explanation, a lot of confusion. What is a DAO? A DAO is a new thing. We were actually one of the first, if not the first, incorporated. There's a structure called a DAO LLC, which is essentially a more traditional LLC wrapper around the DAO structure, which allows a DAO to be recognized by the legal system, essentially. And that's what we are. But it's not a company. It's a decentralized, autonomous organization. Okay, so decentralized means no one's in charge. There's no chairman. There's no president. It's just an agreement to run software. When somebody wants to change the software, there's a process to create a proposal, and then the DAO members vote. Each member gets a vote, and then we implement the change. And there's different ways to get that done. But it's not a company. And it's autonomous, right? So there's not like human processes. This is just software running rules, but it is an organization. There are 101 seat holders, and they do have equal votes. So there is some level of human interaction, but it's autonomous and decentralized, not a company. Essentially, it's just an agreement to run software to power this decentralized registry. And I won't go into all the details here, but we have been around for a long time doing this. We started back in 2017. We've done 3. We're actually on our 4th test chain. We did a Hyperledger, which is an enterprise DLT type system. We've just used various technologies, done proof of concepts, one with the US Customs, and been working with ISO for a few years. We have a fairly significant support base from our industry that has grown over time. So yeah, we're hoping to launch it next year. 2023 should be production, and things are looking good.
Great, thank you, Rohi. Joe, do you mind taking us through some of the business applications of this blockchain and making it a little more real for us?
Unfortunately, Joe, we're not all lip readers.
Hi, everybody. Thank you. Joe Marion here again from ASCDI. As Rohi just explained, OBADA is a standard. It's a way to bring disparate systems, separate systems together and enable them to talk to each other. The business cases for OBADA, which is another word for traceability in my mind, are really limited by your imagination. There are a lot of players, a lot of stakeholders in the tech resell circularity industry. There are end users. End users want to know that their data on the equipment that they're selling has been erased. End users want to know that their equipment is not ending up in landfills. There are ITADs. ITADs are the information technology resellers. They want you to know who they are. They want you to be able to identify who they are. A lot of them have been certified by companies like Siri, R2, DISA, eStewards. But who do you know? How do you know who you're dealing with? So the ITADs want you to know who they are. The dealers, the brokers, the people who are buying and selling these products, they want to make sure that the products are functional. Resellers want to make sure that the products they're selling are authentic. And refurbishers want to make sure that the products they're selling are operational. So these are the various players, the various stakeholders in the circularity industry for IT assets. And lastly, governments. A lot of these changes, a lot of things that are going on with OBADA and other such projects are driven by the governments. Governments in Europe are mandating that equipment is traceable. California's doing that now, New York's doing that now, and it's going to come on very quickly in the United States. The world wants to know where their IT assets, where their technology assets are, what's happened to them, and where they're going. But the way things are today, hit the next one, please, Chief. But the way things are today, it's a mess. Inventories are faxed, they're emailed, they're shared in all these separate silos, if you will. When data is wiped out of devices, we email out PDFs to each other to let you know that the devices have been wiped. Payments are processed manually. You can't scale the IT technology resale industry if you're doing everything manually. And that's the solution that OBADA brings to the table. Hit the next one, please. Picture a world where everything's synced, where documents sync, where inventory sync, where your services are synced, payments are digital, and the data silos are eliminated. And that's what OBADA does. OBADA simply lets all these disparate siloed systems come together and talk to each other. And what OBADA is doing is creating an ecosystem where, I mean, as I said at the beginning of my presentation, it's just limited by your imagination. Whatever services you want to provide to the circular economy world, you can provide. OBADA is just going to provide the vehicle to link it together and enable you to communicate with the rest of the world.
Great, thank you, Joe. Dr. Lemke, all this sounds pretty good. I'm not completely clear yet on how it actually is working. Would you mind taking us through the behind the scenes and high level, people like me, so we can understand, explaining a little bit how it actually does work?
Yeah, and an entirely jargon-free brief overview here. So if we can go to the next slide. So as Joe was describing, as Rohi and G have said, you can think of it being similar to a Carfax type system for tracking documentation about a device. So a company that's a member of the DAO, they will be working with their customers who will have documentation about a device. It might be a proof or attestation of authenticity, or that the data has been properly sanitized, or that certain testing has been done to verify the condition or the state of the device, proof that the device has been disassembled, or proof that the device has been recycled. And so, or any other similar type of proof of documentation. And this documentation needs to be stored on the OBADA blockchain. So the company will send its documentation to the DAO member, and then the DAO member will store this information on their copy of the database, and then it is immediately shared with all of the other copies of the database that live on the servers held by all of the other members of the DAO. So the next slide, please. So customers need to pay for the ability to have their documents stored. And so the customers will take these files, these attestations, these proofs, and upload them to the DAO member. And they will need to pay for this service using, dollars. But the DAO members amongst themselves, rather than sending money through the banking system, will use a simpler system of system credits. So if we go to the next slide, there's a cost every time that data is uploaded. It's always free to download and view the data, but every time you want more data stored in the database, there's a cost for that. And so the DAO member node that is performing this storage, that's uploading it, will collect the fee from their customer. And so they will receive these system credits, but then periodically, frequently, these system credits are then distributed amongst all of the members of the DAO. So every company is then receiving some compensation in the form of these system credits, and hopefully these system credit these system credits can then be turned back into dollars And hopefully the cost of the system credit, the fees recovered from the system credits should be enough to cover the cost of running the node. So why are we using system credits as opposed to bank wire transfers or other forms of banking system? Well, this is going to be simpler. This is going to be therefore cheaper. We're not paying commissions. We're not paying banking fees. And we can really use very small micropayments that can be sent as frequently as the DAO members decide they want to send them. So this should be simpler and cheaper for everybody. Next slide. So as we've mentioned, OBADA is creating a DAO. And as Rohi said, this is a decentralized autonomous organization. And I know maybe this will be a little bit of repetition on what Rohi said, but there is nobody in charge. There's no president, there's no executive director, there's no board of directors, there's no steering committee, there's no little cabal that runs this thing. All of the members decide and vote. Now, the DAO can hire an administrative person to perform administrative tasks, but those cannot be managerial tasks. They just have to be strictly administrative tasks. Any managerial decisions need to be made by the membership of the DAO. And so you may be thinking, I've never heard of this DAO thing before. And as Rohi said, these are a new type of legal way to incorporate or legally join people together to work on an effort together. And so you might think, well, can't we just do some sort of trade association or an LLC or something? Being a DAO gives us freedom and flexibility that we couldn't have with a more traditional structure. This allows us to keep the overhead down and the costs down and make a more efficient system to better serve all of the constituents of this system. Next slide. So the members of the DAO will decide how it's supposed to be run. So if members of the DAO feel like the database software needs to be upgraded in some way, the members of the DAO will vote to do it, and they'll vote to pay somebody to make those changes. So if upgrades, modifications, to keep up with operating systems or something, if there are going to be changes about the policies or changes about how much something costs, or about how to standardize all these reports that are being uploaded so that everybody can better have integration and sharing of information, the members of the DAO will decide, and that's how this whole organization runs, is that the members of the DAO make all the decisions.
To wrap this up, we would like now to review some of the benefits that Rohi is going to go over, and then I will take you to some other ways you can get involved. Rohi?
Oh, great. So, one of the primary benefits of being part of the DAO is being a part of something exciting, the future of our industry and the networking opportunities that goes with being in a group of industry leaders. The seat at the table, starting at the bottom here, gives you voting rights. Every DAO member gets one vote aside from the seat at this table. The second thing is operational rights, which is the rights to essentially operate this blockchain, offer it to your customers, give them access, and provide necessary services that enable these tools, such as verifying identities and things like that. And all of these you have the right to charge for. And then the last piece is economic, which is to receive a form of system credit as well as a share of all fees and rewards that are generated by the platform.
Great, thank you, Rohi. So if you want to learn more, you can visit our website at obada.io, including also close to that, there is an FAQ page on obadafoundation.org/marketing/FAQ. And then obviously we would love to hear from you if you have any interest in a DAO membership. And for that, feel free to email Mark Schaefer at bizops@obada.io. Mark is the man behind the curtain today and has been our presenter throughout the presentation. Thank you. Thank you so much.